Welcome back to my channel. Did you know Kody Brown stood in court and claimed he reached out to all of his children after a tragic loss in the family? Well, one of those children just called him a liar. Not in private, not behind closed doors, but in front of a judge. And when the courtroom unsealed the Brown family's private text records and estate documents, what they uncovered shocked everyone, even Robin. This wasn't a TV storyline anymore. This was betrayal, signed, sealed, and exposed under oath. Stay with me, because once you see what Kody wrote inside that estate file, you will never look at sister wives the same way again. The air in the courtroom wasn't loud, it was heavy. Not with shouting or drama, but with the slow, suffocating weight of a family falling apart, one unspoken accusation at a time. Kody Brown sat stiff at the defendant's table, jaw locked, hands folded like he wasn't sure whether he was preparing for a sermon or a sentence. His attorneys whispered, but he didn't hear a word. His eyes were fixed on the gallery. Behind the glass sat Leon, the child he once cradled. The same child now accusing him publicly, relentlessly, and this time with receipts. Just weeks earlier, Kody sat in a season 20 confessional, hair slicked back, face somber, insisting he had reached out to every one of his children after Garrison's death, claiming he was trying to heal, rebuild, reconnect. Some fans believed him, until Leon, silent for years, dropped a bomb online. That man is a liar. I haven't heard a word from him since the funeral. He's not trying. He's pretending. This wasn't gossip. This reopened wounds the family had been stitching shut for years. And now Kody wasn't being judged by viewers. He was being judged by the children he once claimed to protect. This wasn't about polygamy. This was about paternity, and the truth was unraveling fast. There was a time when Kody's world looked unshakable.
4 wives.
18 children. A family built on faith, unity, and land. But then came the fractures, the favoritism, the tension, the Coyote Pass promises that turned into a battleground. Janelle wanted independence. Christine wanted freedom. Mary faded into the background. And Robin, always the favorite, lived in the biggest house while making the fewest sacrifices. The kids saw it all. Some stayed loyal. Some drifted away. Others, like Garrison, Gabe, Paydon, and Leon, found their own voices. And their stories didn't match what Kody said in his confessionals. He painted himself as the wounded father. They don't call me back. They've been manipulated by their moms. I'm trying, but they shut me out. But according to unsealed text messages pulled into court, the real story was much different. In one documented exchange, Janelle allegedly asked Kody why he never reached out to Leon after Garrison's memorial. Kody's answer? That's not my responsibility anymore. Those 5 words detonated social media.
Rede te exploded.
Even longtime fans turned. He's still their dad, isn't he? Not my responsibility? Really? And suddenly, private messages became public evidence. Christine wasn't surprised. In her deposition, she said Kody always rewrote history to make himself the victim. She recalled the day Isabel cried because Kody skipped her surgery, choosing Robin's household instead. For Christine, that was the moment Kody's credibility with his children shattered. Robin, however, insisted he was misunderstood, that he loved all his kids but was being punished for enforcing boundaries. But once Leon came forward, her defense sounded less like truth and more like damage control. And then came the screenshots Leon posted. Not angry paragraphs. Not dramatic confrontations. Just silence. Years of it. No follow-ups. No, I love you. No, are you okay? Nothing. This wasn't about distance. This was about chosen silence. And that's when the court stepped in. What started as a family feud escalated into legal mediation. Janelle and Mary argued that Kody was selectively parenting, offering emotional support to some children while ignoring others, despite claiming unity on national television. Inside confidential court documents, the judge asked one chilling question. Has Mr. Brown demonstrated equal parental effort across all children? And the answer wasn't coming from lawyers. It was coming from the kids. Then Leon walked into court. They didn't speak, not at first. They didn't have to. Their presence was louder than any testimony. When the clerk read Kody's interview quote aloud, "I've reached out to all my children," Leon finally raised their hand and said 4 quiet words, "That's not the truth." The room froze, and the judge ordered a full review of communications, texts,
Calls.
emails, everything. No more hearsay. This was about to become hard proof. What those documents revealed next will divide this family forever. Because this isn't about child support. It isn't about marriage contracts. It isn't even about Coyote Pass. This is about the one thing Kody Brown always swore he put above everything else: love, family, connection. And now, the one thing he stands accused of abandoning is his own child. This isn't just a courtroom anymore. This is where Kody Brown's legacy is on trial. And you, the viewer, are the jury. If you were Leon, would you speak out publicly like this? Or keep it private to protect the family? Comment your answer below. The unsealing order came seconds after Leon uttered those 4 quiet words. That's not the truth. For a man who built an entire television identity around being the devoted father of 18, the moment those digital records hit the judge's bench was the moment that image finally cracked. The clerk placed a thick manila folder in front of Kody's attorney. It didn't look extraordinary, but the weight wasn't in the paper. It was in the meaning. Inside, screenshots, printed texts, call logs, years of receipts, every message Kody sent. Every message he ignored. The court was ready to examine all of it. Kody didn't move. He blinked. He swallowed. But he stayed perfectly still because he knew the most damaging evidence wasn't what he said. It was what he didn't. The first records reviewed were between Kody and Leon, spanning 2018 through the days after Garrison's funeral. The findings were chilling. Out of 27 messages Leon sent over 6 years, Kody replied to only 4, and those replies were one-word answers. Noted. Okay. Thanks. And the coldest. I'm not discussing this. But the most painful message came from Leon. One simple text that froze the entire courtroom. "Dad, I miss you. I'm scared we'll never be close again. I need to hear from you." There was no reply. The courtroom projector clicked. Text after text appeared. Year after year. Christine sat in the second row, wiping tears. Janelle stared at her hands. Even Robin, who had defended Kody for years, leaned back as the reality she had shielded began to crumble in the harsh glow of courtroom lighting. The judge asked for clarification. Kody's lawyer tried to spin the silence as respecting boundaries, claiming Leon had stepped away and Kody didn't want to push. But then the judge asked the one question that mattered. Did Mr. Brown make even a single phone call to Leon after Garrison's funeral? Kody's attorney looked down. The answer was a dry whispered. No. Just like that, the courtroom turned into a confessional booth. Kody finally spoke, voice barely audible. "I didn't know if they wanted to hear from me. I thought they needed space. I was grieving, too." But Christine stood up. She had listened to enough. In a steady yet trembling voice, she told the court what she witnessed herself. That when Garrison died, all the children came together, except Kody. While the others sobbed in each other's arms, Kody stayed behind in Flagstaff with Robin. That was a moment for him to show up, Christine said. Not for TV, not for optics, for his children.
She paused.
He didn't. Then she pulled out a sealed envelope and placed it into the judge's hands. Inside were screenshots from the family group chat. Janelle begging Kody to attend the service. Gabe pleading, "We need you there, Dad." And Kody's lone response days later. "I'm not emotionally safe around you people right now." That message detonated across social media.
Reddit erupted.
Fans who once sympathized with Kody's distance now called him a coward. The comment sections boiled with rage, but the courtroom was worse. Because this time, it wasn't fans judging Kody. It was the legal system, and they weren't deciding whether he'd abandoned wives or relationships. They were determining whether he'd abandoned his children. That single infamous message, "I'm not emotionally safe around you people right now," may be the line that changes the judge's entire decision. Robin requested to speak. Her eyes were already red, her hands trembling as she stepped onto the witness stand. But shockingly, she didn't defend Kody's silence. She tried to explain it. He was broken, she said softly. He felt disconnected from the family. He felt like an outsider. Everyone blames him, but no one sees his pain. A low murmur rippled across the gallery. Janelle's jaw tightened. Christine stared straight ahead, her expression carved from stone. Then the court asked Robin one direct question. Did you encourage him to reach out to Leon? A long pause. And then the answer that shifted the entire emotional balance of the trial. I didn't think it was my place. That moment landed like a stone hitting water, ripples of realization spreading across the room. Suddenly, it wasn't just Kody's silence under the microscope. It was the walls built around him. A household that watched a father drift away and did nothing to pull him back. Then Janelle took the stand. Her voice was steady, but her eyes carried years of disappointment. I tried, she said. I asked him to go. I begged him to call Leon. I told him again and again. This isn't about you. This is about showing up. But he refused. She turned toward the judge, emotion finally breaking through her controlled tone. And now he wonders why his children are angry, why they post online, why they use words like liar. But what do you call someone who says they love you and then vanishes? She looked directly toward the gallery. If you were Leon and your father ignored your grief, would you stay silent? Or would you speak out too? Comment your answer below. The judge nodded and gestured for the next document. A timeline. A cold, clinical record of Kody Brown's last communication with each adult child. Christine gasped softly. Because there it was, in black and white. Last call to Gabe. October 2021 last text to Paydon. June 2022 last contact with Leon. March 2020 more than 3 years of silence. Yet Kody continued telling producers, cameras, and fans that he was spending all his time rebuilding bridges and trying. But the contradiction wasn't emotional anymore. It was provable. And in a courtroom, provable matters. This wasn't a family falling apart. It was a documented timeline of abandonment. When Kody returned to the stand, he looked smaller. His voice cracked. I thought I was doing what was best, he whispered. I didn't want to hurt anyone more than I already had. The judge didn't soften. You did. The court adjourned for the day, but the damage was done. Outside, reporters swarmed the steps. Cameras flashed. The world waited. But inside, as the gallery slowly emptied, Christine stayed behind. She watched Kody gather his papers with shaking hands. She had once loved that man, had trusted him, had believed he would be a father to their children. But today, he looked like a stranger trying to survive the collapse of his own myth. In a single session, the image of Kody Brown, father, leader, patriarch, had split open, and the public had already chosen their side. Because for every fan who once defended his parenting, hundreds now asked the same unforgiving question. If he truly cared, why did he vanish? The court would reconvene next week. And next time, it wouldn't be about texts or missed calls. It would be about property. The next hearing was supposed to be routine, just a standard document review. Nothing dramatic.
No witnesses.
Just signatures, summaries, and some financial disclosures. But nothing involving the Brown family is ever routine. Especially when the topic is property secrecy and betrayal. By 9:04 a.m., the courtroom was packed again. This time, the atmosphere felt colder, less emotional, more dangerous. Because today wasn't about feelings. Today was about paperwork, the kind that can expose everything. Inheritance, land rights, financial transfers, and decisions that could shape the future stability of every single Brown child. The clerk stepped forward carrying a thick, tanned accordion folder. The label on the front, Coyote Pass, financial transfers. Once unsealed, everything would change. Kody froze the moment he saw it.
Christine leaned in.
Janelle clasped her hands tightly. Even Robin's breath hitched because they all recognized the folder. This was the box that started it all. By 9:04 a.m., the courtroom was packed again. This time, the The atmosphere felt colder, less emotional, more dangerous. Because today wasn't about feelings. Today was about paperwork, the kind that can expose everything. Inheritance, land rights, financial transfers, and decisions that could shape the future stability of every single Brown child. The clerk stepped forward carrying a thick, tanned accordion folder. The label on the front, Kody Pass, financial transfers. Once unsealed, everything would change. Kody froze the moment he saw it.
Christine leaned in.
Janelle clasped her hands tightly. Even Robin's breath hitched because they all recognized the folder. This was the box that started it all. Everyone in that courtroom knew exactly what was coming. This wasn't just a file, it was the fuse. The one capable of blowing the Brown family legacy wide open. The clerk broke the seal. A stack of documents slid forward with a heavy slap, loud enough to silence the entire room. The judge nodded to the financial auditor. Begin. Page 1 was enough to cause an audible gasp across the gallery. Because printed at the top, clear as day, Parcel B, transferred solely to Robin Brown. Date, March 2022. The room shook. This was the parcel Kody had promised, on camera, would be divided evenly. The one Janelle believed she was co-owner of. The one the children were told would someday be theirs. But Robin owned it now. Alone. Christine covered her mouth. Oh my, he actually did it. Janelle closed her eyes, her jaw set tight enough to tremble. He lied, she whispered. He told us the property would be equal. He told the kids they'd all have land someday. And I was still paying on that land when he gave it away. The judge ordered the next page. A court-ordered appraisal. Parcel B, the one now under Robin's name, valued at nearly $450,000. The second most valuable piece of Kody Pass. Then, the judge looked directly at Kody. Did you inform Mrs. Brown or Mrs. Brown, he gestured to Janelle and Christine, that you intended to transfer this parcel solely to Mrs. Robin Brown? Kody swallowed hard. No, he whispered. I didn't think it mattered anymore. We weren't together. The judge's eyes narrowed. And the children? Did you inform them? Another hesitation. Another crack in the mask. I didn't think they were concerned with land. The gallery erupted. Even the bailiff tensed. Because in a single careless sentence, Kody confirmed every accusation. Favoritism. Secrecy. Betrayal. Christine stood, without waiting for permission. She marched toward the projection screen and jabbed her finger at Robin's signature. That land wasn't just dirt, she said, voice breaking. It was stability. It was generational. It was supposed to belong to all of our kids, not just Robin's. Not just the ones he still cares about. Her fingers shook as she tapped the document again. This is proof. Proof he chose one household over an entire family. The judge raised a hand, instructing her to return to her seat, but the damage was already done. Then Janelle took the stand.
Calm.
Controlled.
Deadly.
She testified how she paid taxes on Kody Pass for years. How she contributed thousands upon thousands because she believed Kody's promise. Each wife will get her portion. Then she revealed the message that made the courtroom gasp. A text from Kody, 2 months before the secret transfer. Don't worry, Janelle. You'll get your share. I'm working on paperwork. The judge leaned forward. Even he didn't hide his surprise. But instead of giving me paperwork, Janelle said quietly, he gave the land to Robin. She sat back, exhausted, shattered, and done protecting anyone. Robin didn't speak at first. She sat still, pale, overwhelmed, guilt written across every inch of her face. Finally, her voice cracked open. I didn't ask for the land. I didn't know he hadn't told them. I didn't know. But Christine didn't let that stand. Robin, she said sharply, you always know. You always benefit. You always walk away untouched. Robin's face reddened. That's not fair, she whispered. What's not fair? Janelle cut in, her voice sharp but trembling. Is finding out my years of financial sacrifice were erased by one signature. From the back of the room, a whisper carried. He never wanted them all equal. Just one queen, and the rest workers. The gallery stirred. Murmurs spread. Anger simmered, raw and undeniable. For years, fans speculated Kody favored Robin. But speculation wasn't needed now. There were documents, signatures, dates, a paper trail even Kody couldn't argue away. This wasn't favoritism anymore. This was financial betrayal, written into legal record. The court took a short recess. Outside, Kody paced alone. His mind raced back to when Coyote Pass was supposed to be the family's future. "This land is our legacy, our unity, our home," he remembered saying. But unity was impossible when the leader secretly split the legacy in half. In a rare glimpse into his own thoughts, Kody wondered quietly, did I protect Robin or destroy everyone else? Christine and Janelle huddled together, whispering, tired but united. Robin stood at a distance, silently crying into her sleeve. When court resumed, the judge motioned for the next portion of the unsealed file. And this one was even worse. It wasn't about land. It was about money. A bank summary showed Kody had withdrawn $68,000 from the shared family account just months before giving Parcel B to Robin. The note attached, legal restructuring expenses. Except there were no legal restructuring documents in the file. None. The judge tapped the paper twice. "Mr. Brown, where did this money go?" Kody hesitated. Some went to back payments, some to projects, some to Mrs. Robin Brown. The judge's voice cut through the silence. To Mrs. Robin Brown? Silence. Robin covered her mouth. Christine whispered, "Oh my God." Janelle let out a dry, humorless laugh. Because they had suspected it for years. But now they had proof. Kody wasn't just choosing favorites emotionally. He was choosing them financially. Kody tried again. "I thought I had the right to." The judge cut him off. "You had the right to transparency. You did not have the right to silence." That single legal sentence hit harder than any accusation the wives had ever thrown. Robin finally stood. "I didn't know," she whispered. "I swear I didn't know." But the courtroom didn't care about intent. It cared about impact. The judge moved to the final section of the unsealed file, distribution plans. And what appeared next shattered the last illusion of equality. A handwritten note from Kody. Not filed. Not dated. Not shared with any wife. Just a folded piece of paper, hidden among financial correspondences. It read, "Future plan. Robin's kids inherit Parcel B. Other parcels TBD after mediation." Christine covered her mouth. Janelle stared in disbelief. Even the gallery gasped audibly. This was the confirmation fans had long suspected. The man who preached family unity had privately planned generational exclusivity. The moment the note hit the record, the courtroom shifted. This was no longer a hearing. This was a reckoning. The judge closed the file slowly. "This court," he said, deliberate, "is not ruling on inheritance today. But it is ruling on transparency, intent, and truth." He leaned forward. "Mr. Brown, this note alone shows a break in trust that goes far beyond property." Kody's face went pale. He wasn't losing land. He was losing legacy. The courtroom fell silent as the judge prepared to adjourn. But before the gavels hit, he added, "We'll continue in the next hearing with testimony from the adult children." A murmur rippled through the room. Because that meant Leon would return. And others might join. And what they said could destroy whatever remained of the Brown family name. As people filed out, Christine brushed past Kody without looking at him. Her voice was low, cold. "You burned it all down, and now you're shocked there's no home left. If you discovered your father secretly planned to give the best land only to one household, would you forgive him? Or would it forever break your trust?" Comment your answer below. The Brown family, once reality TV's symbol of unconventional love, faith, and unity, now sat shattered across courtroom benches. The youngest, the quietest, and the most outspoken children were preparing to testify against their own father. The judge called the hearing back to order. And this time, gravity filled the room like never before. His robe hung heavy. His tone was clipped. What had started as a routine hearing over miscommunication and property had evolved into something far more personal. This was now about damage, about how deeply the fractures in Kody Brown's household had cut into the children he once called his legacy. The first to speak was Leon. They stepped forward, shoulders back, eyes locked. Their expression unreadable, but when they spoke, every word dripped with grief held too long. "I never wanted this," Leon began. "But I can't sit silent anymore and pretend the father I knew, the father I needed, was present when he wasn't." Kody kept his eyes on the desk. Leon continued. "He says he reached out. He says he tried. But I brought the messages. I brought the proof. And they speak louder than edited interviews ever could." The court clerk projected the exhibits. No calls.
No emails. No visits.
Just silence. And then Leon dropped a line no one expected. "I didn't just lose my brother. I lost my father before that." The courtroom didn't breathe. The silence hurt. Christine wiped a tear. Janelle leaned forward. Robin shifted, visibly shaken. Leon looked directly at Kody. "I needed you. And you weren't there. So don't tell America you tried. Tell the truth. You didn't try, because you didn't care to." They stepped back. The room stayed still. Next, Gwen Brown walked slowly to the stand, fists clenched. Unlike Leon, she didn't cry. Her words were sharp, accusatory. "I want this on record," she began. "My dad hasn't spoken to me since I got engaged. Not once. Not congratulations. Not, I'm happy for you. Nothing." She held up a printed wedding invitation. "I sent this to him. Certified mail.
Signed. Received. And he never came.
Never texted. Never called. Not even a polite no. I don't think he sees me anymore. Not the real me." Robin flinched. Kody opened his mouth, then closed it again. The judge asked Gwen what she believed caused the estrangement. "Favoritism," she said immediately. The courtroom leaned in. "Robin's kids get affection. We get lectures. I can't prove what's in his heart, but I can prove what's not in his calendar. I haven't seen a minute of his time in over a year." This wasn't rebellion. This was raw, traceable, and damning testimony. Next came Peyton. Of all the Brown children, they'd always been the most outspoken, the wild card. They stepped to the microphone and stared at Kody for several long seconds. "You want honesty?" they said. "You're going to get it." They pulled out their phone. "Here's my last message to you, Dad. You don't have to be perfect. Just be present." They looked up again. "You left me on read."
Literally.
Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Bitter laughter. Christine buried her face in her hands. "I used to defend you," Peyton continued. "I used to tell people, you don't know my dad the way I do." I shook my head. "But now maybe I didn't know you either. I just want this man to stop lying to cameras and start answering to his kids. Stop hiding behind Robin while you're at it." The room shuddered under the weight of that line. Kody stood abruptly. "Your Honor," he snapped. "Sit down," the judge said, holding up a hand. But Kody didn't. He faced his children, his own blood, his legacy. "Everything I did," he said, voice shaking, "I did to protect this family, to build something sacred. I may not have handled everything right, but I never stopped loving any of you." He pointed at Leon. "You cut me off. At Gwendolyn. You ignored my texts. At Peyton. You're the one who turned this whole thing into a circus." Christine stood. "You don't get to gaslight them, Kody. I'm telling the truth."
"No," he said.
"You're telling your version."
"But the receipts tell the rest."
The judge called a 5-minute recess. Security escorted Kody to the hallway as whispers filled the room. Outside, he slumped against the wall, head in his hands. Inside, the rest of the family huddled like survivors of a storm they never asked to weather.
No cameras. No producers. Just pain. Real. Raw.
If you were sitting in that courtroom and heard your own father say, "You cut me off," would you forgive him or walk away for good?
Comment below.
When court resumed, the judge entered a formal judgment. It is the opinion of this court that Mr. Brown has demonstrated repeated patterns of emotional favoritism, selective communication, and misleading public statements regarding his relationship with his adult children. While not a criminal offense, this court recognizes the harm these actions have caused to the emotional well-being of affected family members.
No yal. No fine.
Just truth spoken out loud, entered into public record forever. For once, the Brown children had validation. Kody returned to his seat. For once, he had nothing to say. And maybe that was the most honest moment of his life. But the damage wouldn't end there. There was one final file still sealed. Estate Plan, Brown Family Confidential, 2023. The air went cold. No one whispered. No one moved. Kody looked like a man waiting for a DNA test result. Once this file was opened, there was no going back. The clerk broke the seal. Page 1.
Summary.
This document reflects the final wishes of Kody Brown regarding asset distribution, property rights, and family inheritance, revised November 2023. Weeks ago. Page 2. Beneficiaries. Primary heir, Robin Sullivan Brown, entitled to all parcels under her name and all jointly held liquid assets. Secondary heirs, Dayton, Aurora, Brianna, inherit remaining Coyote Pass assets upon Robin's passing. Not a single mention of Christine's children. Not a word about Janelle's.
Not a word about Leon.
The courtroom froze. Christine whispered, "He erased them." Janelle muttered, "He erased everyone but them." Page 3. Mary Brown and Leon removed as legal beneficiaries as of March 2022.
Gasp.
Leon stood. Tears welled. No words. This wasn't oversight. This was exile written in ink. Christine's voice trembled but was fierce. "He disinherited all my children. After decades of raising them, after building his name on their backs, he erased them. You built an empire on the illusion of family. But what you really wanted was a kingdom with one queen, and everyone else forgotten." Robin raised her hand. "I didn't know," she said softly. "I didn't ask for any of this. I never wanted him to cut the others out." Christine cut her off. "Then why did you sign?" Robin's lips trembled. "I thought it was temporary, just for tax purposes." Janelle shook her head. "You don't use tax tricks to delete people. This wasn't financial strategy. This was a declaration of who matters and who doesn't." Kody rose slowly. "I made a decision," he said. "I didn't want to leave land to people who hated me, who wouldn't return a phone call. And yes, I gave it to Robin, because she's the only one still here." The courtroom erupted. Christine shouted, "You don't reward loyalty with land. You reward love." Janelle snapped, "They didn't leave you. You pushed them away." Leon didn't speak. They packed their bag and walked out.
No tears.
No drama. Just finality. Silence. If you were one of the children erased from your father's will, would you ever speak to him again? Comment below. The judge struck the gavel. No future amendments will be made unless initiated jointly by Kody and Robin Brown. Christine stared at the ground. Janelle's eyes never left the file. Robin gripped the bench, knuckles white. Even in death, Kody's favoritism would live on. His money, land, legacy, funneled through one household. All others left behind.
No healing. No unity.
Just division. The judge closed the file. This court recognizes no criminal offense, but it does recognize the moral implications of what occurred. And with that, the case was over. Truth had spoken. And truth can be punishment enough. Outside, reporters swarmed. Christine, Janelle, the children, healed, united, moving forward. Kody, alone, silent. And that silence echoed louder than any court order. Because silence is the final receipt.